Hello, everyone, and welcome to Teach Your Child to Read. My name is Maria, and I work for the Fort Worth Public Library. I'm a public education specialist. I worked at Fort Worth ISD and Crowley ISD for many years, and I have about 15 years of experience. How about you, Nancy?
Hi, everyone. Well, my name is Nancy, and I also work with the Fort Worth Public Library as a public education specialist. I worked for Head Starts, Early Head Starts. I worked for the university with different grants, and I probably have over 20 years of early childhood experience. So we are glad to both be here with you guys.
Most definitely. Well, this webinar, Teach Your Child to Read, will focus on babies and toddlers and what you can do to make sure your child has the necessary pre-reading skills he or she will need before starting to read. I know I'm a visual learner, so it helps me when I see examples or I can read it somewhere instead of just hearing it. How about you, Nancy?
Maria, I am more of an auditory learner, so as long as I can hear it, I'll remember it. That's why I do much better with audiobooks than just regular books, because if I can listen to the story, I can retain it.
Perfect. Well, since people have different learning styles, some learn by hearing, some learn by seeing, and others learn by doing, we will not only be speaking, we're also going to be offering a visual through the use of PowerPoint slides. So for those of you who learn by doing, and even those visual and auditory learners, you will take what you've learned in this webinar and implement it with your child.
Well, when we are talking about why it's so important for a child to start school ready for kindergarten, there are a few important things that we need to consider. So first, children's reading success in kindergarten and beyond really begins with a positive language and literacy experiences from the time that they are infants. Second, if children develop pre-reading skills before they start kindergarten, then guess what? They can focus on learning to read once they begin school. And third, children who start kindergarten ready to read have greater success throughout their school years. They are more likely to read at or above level, and by the time they're done with second grade, they're going to be on level. Also, children who read at or above grade level by the end of fourth grade are much more likely to graduate from high school and be successful readers and learners throughout their lives.
Are you serious, Nancy?
Oh, yes. And did you know that a children's reading fluency and comprehension in third grade is an indicator of the child's criminal history in the future?
Why is that?
Well, it's because before third grade, children are learning to read. And in third grade and onward, children are reading to learn. So if they're not reading at their grade level, by the end of third grade, they are less likely to graduate high school on time. And according to a 2009 study by Northwestern University, if students don't graduate from high school, yikes, they are 63 times more likely to be incarcerated than college graduates.
Wow, then I'm sure we can all agree how important reading is for your child. Well, by the end of this webinar, we want our viewers to learn, number one, about the 5 practices that will help prepare their child to read. And number 2, we want to give parents and caregivers ideas of pre-reading activities that they can do with their child. And you'd be surprised how quickly you can come up with some of these activities.
Maria, you are so right. There is so much parents can do at home during this pandemic. So let's begin with our first objective and talk about the 5 practices that you can do to prepare your child to read. And if you want to do more research, you're more than welcome to look up Every Child Ready to Read resource online or at your local library. So first of all, learning to read begins from birth. Second, you're probably doing more than you think. Parents and caregivers can be hard on themselves, but by simply watching this webinar, you are showing that you care and you want to do your part in teaching your child to be ready to read. You are the expert of your child. You are the best and first teacher. So, what are those 5 practices? They are writing, talking, singing, reading, and playing.
Hey, Nancy, can you show us the hand signals or gestures, please, to help us remember those 5 practices?
Of course, Maria. So keep in mind, they're not in any particular order. This is just a way that we're able to remember them when we're sharing information with parents. So you just need to make sure you're doing them. That's it. So let's talk about them. So the first one is writing. So we're just going to use our pointer finger and pretend we're writing in the air. 2 is talking. So we're going to use our 2 fingers and like a motion like if we're talking. 3 is singing. La, 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 la. 4, we're going to combine both of our hands, our 4s, put them together like a book. So as if we were reading. And then the last one, which is the 5th one, is play. So we're going to put both hands up, drop the 3 middle fingers, and then this is the sign for play. So we're going to first start with writing. So the first one. So why are writing readiness or pre-writing skills important?
Well, Nancy, writing helps children become aware that printed letters stand for spoken language. In other words, they're learning that what we write has meaning, literally. And the more children are exposed to writing, the more they will start to become aware of letters and how all of those letters can be put together and have a meaning.
Exactly. And pre-writing skills are essential for a child to be able to develop the ability to hold and move a pencil fluently and effectively, and therefore produce legible writing. So when these skills are underdeveloped, it can lead to frustration and resistance due to a child not being able to produce legible writing or to keep up in class due to fatigue. So this can just have so many different results, but one that we really want to talk about is that poor self-esteem and academic performance.
You know, one of my students in kindergarten had gotten very little practice writing, and unfortunately, the student struggled a lot in class.
It's so hard, Maria. It just breaks my heart, but it does make sense, right? If a child hasn't gotten the practice over many, many years, we can't expect them to learn it and become experts overnight.
Exactly. It takes time, patience, and lots of practice to get good at writing. And that's why those pre-writing skills are so important. Hey, Nancy, what are the building blocks necessary to develop writing readiness or pre-writing?
That's a good question, Maria. So children definitely need to have that hand and finger strength. So when we talk about hand and finger strength, this is what we're talking about, the actual hand and fingers. It's simply being able to practice those fine and gross motor skills that help children build those muscles in their hands so that they're able to control the movement of a pencil. So children also need to practice with pencil grasp, the effectiveness of how the pencil is held, allowing age-appropriate pencil movement. So another thing is that hand and eye coordination, which is the ability to process information received from your eyes to control and guide the direct of the hands in performance of a task such as handwriting or any other important pre-writing skill.
Wow, Nancy, thanks so much. That really cleared it up for me. Well, now that we know those pre-writing skills are important, let's talk about what you can do to help your child develop those skills. So first of all, let them scribble. Now, what do we mean by this, scribbling? Well, let's start with babies. For older babies, and I'm not talking about newborns, under supervision by you or by a trusted adult, put a crayon in his or her hands and have him or her scribble on a sheet of paper. It would be so much fun for them. Now, for toddlers, if you have a toddler or as your baby gets older, you want to let him or her develop her fine motor skills, which are those small muscle groups that we use to move our fingers and our toes, what Nancy was talking about. Children use their fingers to perform tasks such as writing, picking up objects, brushing their teeth, opening doors, playing musical instruments, opening containers, pretty much everything that they do with their fingers. Keep in mind that their hands are still growing and all of these activities won't be easy for them to do. They'll need practice, and very often their hands will hurt just because they're using these muscles a lot. So what can you do to help your child develop his or her fine motor skills? Well, activities such as lacing help with movement of the hands and fingers, kind of like we have in this picture here. Letting them play with Play-Doh and using sidewalk chalk will help exercise and prepare those little muscles in their hands. Building with Duplo, Lego, Mobilo, or any other types of construction toys help a lot as well. Essentially, any activity where they're helping to develop those fine motor skills.
Yes, Maria, all those are great tips. And I know that I hear from little ones, oh, my hands hurt, oh, my fingers hurt, just by playing with Play-Doh. But it's really working those muscles that strengthen their little fingers. So all those were great. Thanks, Maria. So let's move on to talking. So remember, that was the second one. That was a signal for talking. So as we think about talking with your child helps him learn that spoken language. So this is one of the most important early literacy skills. Children learn language by listening to you and joining in on the conversation. So what does that really look like? So let's think of a baby. When you think about your little baby, talk to your baby as much as you can. Talk to him in utero, talk to him when you're changing a diaper, when you're carrying them around, when they're eating. Talk to them about the world around them. You can be asking them simple questions and see if your baby will respond, and they will absolutely respond. You'll get that smile, you'll get the giggles. I mean, that's their way of communicating with us. A baby's language is their facial expressions. When they're laughing at you, I remember my little one being in a high chair and I'd be talking about the spaghetti and how squishy it was, and I was making noises. And he would just bust out laughing. And that was his way of knowing that I knew he was listening to me and he was paying attention to me. And he was letting me know that he hears me and that my face and how I was saying squishy really made him laugh.
That's super cute, Nancy. I love
No, he was so funny. So as your baby moves into the toddler stage, continue talking with him. Talk to him while he's doing those activities. Ask him simple questions. So, do you like that? Are you having fun? Are you tired? Ask him questions about things they like. So, superheroes or cartoons. What's their favorite food? Their candy favorite? Their favorite game? Whatever your toddler's into, just start that conversation. Give him time, though, to respond to the question you ask. So if you're asking him, did you like that game? And you quickly respond, no, you didn't. He didn't have time to process it. So give them a little bit of time to process it and read their facial expressions. Use puppets and start engaging your toddler with open-ended conversation. And some of you might ask, well, what's an open-ended conversation? Open-ended basically just means that it requires more of, so extending it beyond the yes and no responses. So you want them to respond a little bit more. This little boy is engaged with his puppet. You can tell he's focused on the puppet and curious as well. He's looking at the eyes, he's poking at the nose. He is very focused with his mama there. I love this picture.
Oh, I love this. This is precious. And you can tell actually both of them are very engaged. They're having a good time. She's not distracted by anything. She's just having time with her son. Well, this brings us to singing. And I think you said this one with the 3 fingers singing. Mm-hmm. So singing is fun. It's natural. Some of us sing better than others. But what many people don't know is that singing helps develop language skills.
Does it do that, Maria?
Well, singing slows down language so that children can hear the different sounds and words. Singing helps children learn new words, new vocabulary, and information. You know the saying, the mother of knowledge is repetition? Well, singing does exactly this, which in turn helps with logical thinking and sounds while they're having fun.
You know, Maria, that makes so much sense because I remember my preschoolers learning so much from songs and singing, except for when it came time to sing the alphabet song. They did really well and were right on, key with me, except for when we got to the part where it was LMNOP. At that part, I lost them.
Well, Nancy, that's because that was the fast part of the song. But they did learn the other letters because that was the slower part of the song. So if you slow down that LMNOP part down, it's a lot easier to hear the individual letters and different sounds in the songs. And with practice, they should be able to sing it faster and faster each time. So what does singing look like? Well, if you have a baby or you're going to have a baby, sing to them in utero, since the more they hear your voice and the voices of others, the better they will know you and the people around them after they're born. Sing to them during the day, sing them lullabies, sing them things about things that you're doing, even if you have to make them up. Sometimes those are the best songs because they were made up especially for them. Every language has its own sound, and what is important is that they dominate their caregiver's mother tongue. Being exposed to multiple sounds is wonderful because a baby's brain is developing at a rapid pace and capable of distinguishing the different sounds in languages as long as they are consistently experiencing the sounds often. So by the age of 3 years old, a child's brain has developed up to 85%. So let's get as much in that brain as possible. So when your baby grows and becomes a toddler, continue singing to him. Make up funny songs and see how he responds. Also, make sure that you have instruments available that your child can play with, or better yet, make your own instruments and explore different sounds. It didn't have to be fancy or expensive as long as it's fun.
You're right, Maria. As long as it's fun, they have such a fun time. I remember just grabbing some spoons and just pounding the spoons with my boys. And I'd be like, I love spaghetti. I love spaghetti. Oh, I love spaghetti. And they thought it was hilarious.
Exactly. So, I mean, you were having fun and they were having a blast, but they were learning also.
Yeah, I love it. All right. So moving right along to reading. So as funny as it sounds, the next pre-reading practice is, it's going to have to be reading. It's all about reading. So when you read to and with your child, it helps your child learn new words. It helps her understand that what she's reading is much better because you are then able to explain it to her. So when it comes to learning those words, it's so important. Read together and explore those new words. She will be able to understand them and it'll be so much easier for her. And when it's not forced, because children, I tell you what, they will begin to build the love of reading when it's not forced. And when you read to them and when you make it a fun experience, they want to then read to you, which is so perfect because that's who we want. That's where you're starting to know that you're building their love of reading. So when we think about reading, what does reading for fun look like? Because my version of reading for fun is going to be different than Maria. Maria loves to pick up a book and she loves to flip through the pages and read it. She can obtain the information that way. For me, I want to be able to push play and pause whenever I want so I can hear it. That's how, reading fun for me is. But let's think about your little one. So first, you want to choose a time that works best for your child. So maybe before bed or right after when they've just woken up, before the routine of taking a nap, just as long as you make it a routine. Make it fun. Make a reading nook. You might build a reading corner in your child's room. Just make it a special place. And it doesn't have to be something fancy. It could just be a spot on the floor where that's your go-to to go read. Start with board books and then build up to their level. Board books are also great because they're sturdy. They don't have pages that can easily rip. They're built for our younger readers. So you can read to a buddy. You two could then read to their favorite stuffed animal. make sure that the books are where they can reach them so that they're not too high, that they're not able to have accessibility to them. Maybe in a basket, in a corner somewhere, just have them accessible to them. Give them incentives for reading. So if they read a book to you, you get to go out for ice cream once a week. Read to the puppets. They love to be read to. Make it your goal. Now, this is a big one. Make it your goal to read 1,000 books before your child turns 5. And I know that's a lot, but I know that you can do it. Right, Maria?
Oh, absolutely. There are tons of books at the library, at the Fort Worth Public Library, at least I know. But there is a ton of books, even more than 1,000, that, I mean, are on those lists for children to read by kindergarten. And they're great. And they don't have to be very long. They can be short, but it's a lot of fun. Well, that brings us to our very last practice to help prepare your child to read, and that's playing. And what was playing? You put your middle fingers down and you go, okay. So playing is one of the best ways for for children, essentially, to learn language and literacy skills. Okay. It's not wasted time. In fact, it's a great use of their time. Playing helps children learn about language because it helps them put thoughts into words and talk about what they're doing. Nancy, you have a lot of experience with younger children. So what does play look like for babies and toddlers?
So Maria, I love this age because I love to see and read their facial expressions when you put something new in front of them. But some of the suggestions that I'll give for parents and caregivers with babies is to have large, soft blocks available for their babies to play, under supervision, of course. But large, soft blocks are, they're able to manipulate them with their little hands. So those are always one of my favorites. If you have a toddler, let her build and sort with different types of blocks, as long as they're safe and as long as you're around. Sort them by colors, sort them by sizes. All those are great things that help her build big towers or castles, and have her incorporate it with a story. Maybe it's a story you read with her the night before, and now she's recreating something in a page that she remembers, or maybe she's creating her own story. Have her tell you about it. Just because they're telling you a story doesn't mean that it's nothing. It is. To them, it means the world that we sit there and listen to them. So have that special time with your little one. Build that bond with them. Bring out your inner child and play pretend with your child. I know as adults, we're in this stressful life sometimes with work and kids going to sports or homework or all these things that we have to prepare, dinner, get them ready for bath time, all these things that sometimes when you can have the same routine about reading that you have with play, 15 minutes every day, we're going to go do something fun, whether it be outside or play a game. Pretending with your child is so much fun. And it's a great stress reliever for us adults. I know it was for me. I don't know, Maria, how it is for you, but I know for me, it's a stress reliever when I can just let loose and act like a child.
Oh, I agree. It's so much fun. And it really does help their brains develop even better. Hey, Nancy, I have a quick question. What about sensory boxes? Are those important?
Sensory boxes are another great way. When we're thinking about babies, you really want to make sure that there's always adult supervision when we're thinking about babies. But babies benefit from learning about different textures, whether they love feeling them or with their hands, or whether they are just grabbing it and putting it straight in their mouth. They love feeling the different textures, and it's really important for them. Now, you don't have to go out and buy these expensive sensory boxes. As you can see here, this is just a box that we had around the house, and we put some materials in it, and it's got different textures. So you've got, feathery scrunchy, you've got some bubble making stuff that will make noises when you pop it, some Velcro for that rough texture, because we want to start exposing them to those different textures. So just keep in mind, you don't have to make it go out and buy all these expensive things. I know you can probably find 5 things around your house that you can put into this box?
I love when you can make things from materials at home. It's super easy, inexpensive, and doable for most of us, right?
I mean, Maria, you don't have any little ones. You got puppies though, but what do they do when you get a big box? Because I know my kids, they would prefer a big empty box and go jump in it and pretend it was something. And I'm sure your little doggies do too, right?
Oh, they love it. My little
Yeah.
puppy, he loves the little boxes. He loves anything. He'll put everything in his mouth, just like babies.
Yes, 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 yes. I love it. And so again, you don't have to go out and do and purchase these expensive things. You probably have these things around your house. Well, friends, our time is up. We were able to cover all 5 practices. We talked about writing, we talked about talking, we talked about singing, we talked about reading, and we talked about play. So thank you all for joining us today. We've covered so much. But don't forget, you can go on the Fort Worth Public Library Early Childhood Literacy Facebook page to find out about more ways to prepare your child ready to read. You can also make sure that you check out our early literacy classes for parents and caregivers, where we're going to teach you some more activities to help your little one be ready to read. I had so much fun. Maria, did you have fun?
Oh, I had a blast. Thank you all for joining us. Y'all take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.